Good day, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Not Yet Mature. My name is Dion, and I'm your host of this lovely podcast. And I just want to thank you for tuning in, joining in, wherever you are in the world. And it's just lovely having everybody here. Thank you for downloading our podcast. Thank you for subscribing to our channels. And it's just honestly my privilege and my honor to host you guys. So if you guys are ready, then I'm ready. And today we're going to talk about a lovely concept called the fishing concept. And here we go. So the fishing concept is kind of like a weird thing to mention in business. And before I start off with it, which I trust will make a bit more logical sense in a moment's time, I really need to give credit where it's due and explain to you guys, what exactly the fishing concept is. And when I start speaking, you'll know exactly, oh my goodness, this is what it's referring to. And maybe you can already guess exactly what I'm speaking about. But where did this all come from? So there's a very famous quote saying out there that give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day, and but teach a man how to fish, then you'll feed him for a lifetime. Which makes sense both biblically, it makes sense in business, it makes sense, in life lessons that we teach our children and our friends and communities that we serve into and everything like that. But so I had a chat with one of my friends, David, and David spoke to me. He got me over one day, and usually when myself and David get together, we either talk a lot of nonsense, or if we don't talk nonsense, then sometimes we talk actually some sense as well. But so I went to see him and we chatted over a coffee, and he said to me, Dion, I want to start this initiative, and I'm not going to go in too much depth about his initiative because I don't know if he's launched it yet or anything like that, and this is not what I'm speaking about. But the basis of the discussion is he talked to me about the fishing concept, which I initially thought it's just one of those nonsense topics, and I love chatting both sense and nonsense sometimes, but we were busy speaking about the fishing concept, and he said to me, Dion, you know what, when we say we teach him or we give a man a fish, we'll feed him for a day, that's a life lesson that we can really go through with everything. If we just give people advice, give people opinions, give people money, give people the work, just supply them that you might really show them what they need for the day, or you'll give them what they have to get through the day. And then he said to me, Dion, but you know what? Obviously, we focus also on teach the man, the woman, the person on how to fish and how to do it, how to think for themselves, how to do this, how to create the opportunities for themselves. More focusing on the how to creates them, their future to be more sustainable in everything that they'll do, because it won't have an impact only on today, but it will definitely have an impact on longer to come in the future. But he said to me, Dion, there's one missing element that no one teaches. And I want to focus on that element today. And he said to me, Dion, you know what they don't teach in that context? And I said, David, well, what are you referring to? And he said, no one ever refers to why you fish. Because the why you fish creates the possibility for generations to come, not only for your lifetime. to truly understand why you are doing things will allow you to improve on how you do things, if that kind of makes sense. And we talked about it, and he brainstormed with me on some of his initiatives. And I left the building and got into my car, drove home, and the seed was planted. I didn't know. I never thought about that at all. That seed was planted in my brain next to the seed of, how I rate my wife's cooking. It was just there at the back, something that you don't really mention out loud. And it was just there, it was just there. And I was busy doing a leadership development course for some individuals in a company that I consult with frequently. And while I was prepping for something, I was prepping on the typical fishing concept, not without knowing it. I was prepping my teaching based on the how-to. And then it hit me. I said to myself, and myself is Dion, I said, Dion, think about it. You're going to deliver this message, regardless of what the message is, but you're going to deliver this on the how-to, teaching the man how to fish. But nowhere you teaching them the why. And because there's a lack of why, it really has an impact on not only this teaching, but the weight it carries afterwards. And I immediately sat back and thought to myself, if I just have to think about all the business teachings, guidance, leadership development programs, sales programs, everything that I've created, everything that I've mentored, everything that I use in my daily life, I've never asked myself or implemented the strategy of asking yourself why you do things like the way you do. And immediately I was struck in knowing that the why is the biggest weight that any lesson, anything you do, anything you teach, anything you learn carries on the weight of the why. So think about it. If you've got your own business or you're working in a business, but let's talk from the perspective that for today's lesson that you have your own business. So you have a business and you need to understand how to run the business. That's the how to fish. But you also need to understand why you have the business. Why did you do it in the first place? What's the purpose of the why? And that is what we were talking about today. If you understand the why, first of all, you will always put yourself in the outside position to give retrospect of what's happening inside, knowing why you are doing this in the first place. That motivates you when you get into challenges. Knowing why you did it in the first place, that gives you the confidence in knowing what you're doing is right. But the why also exposes possible problems to come. Or it also gives you the confidence in knowing that when those problems come, why you did it in the first place is to just put you in that, gear to thrush all over that, to go over that obstacle, to know exactly I know how to do my business, but knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing gives me that confidence and that longer term sustainability, so that this business is not only carrying the significant weight for myself, in sustainability for myself, food on the table, business, everything just motivating, because that's where it stops on the how to do the business. If I understand how to do the business, of course, the how to fish tells me that I can, feed myself for, a long time to come. But if I tap into the why I'm doing this, not only is it for myself anymore, it's for my employees. It's for my relationship with, my marriage. It's for my children. It's for the person going to buy my business, the person that's going to, invest in my business. It's for the consumers. It's for the customers. So one really needs to not only stop on the how to fish, but why do I fish in the first place? Why do I do this business in the first place? And now you might think that sitting back and, just asking yourself why is good enough, and you get to the reason, but you will very soon realize that not going in depth with the why, not always constantly asking yourself the why, it will hit a ceiling. there will still be days that come and you don't know why you're doing this in the first place, and you don't know, is it worth it? You don't know, can I overcome this obstacle? You don't know if your marketing things that you did in the first place is still accurate and true, and you don't know if your pricing models are still accurate and true. So you don't need to only ask yourself, why are you doing the business, but you truly need to break it down in your own business. You need to ask yourself, why did you start it in the first place? Because understanding why you did it in the first place puts you in that position to know that when things get tough, where did your desire, your passion, everything start from? Where did it originate from? Why did you start it in the first place? Then you need to go on to the second one. Why do you operate the way you do? You see, your operations model that you implemented might have been perfect in the beginning, and there was a specific reasoning behind it, and it might have been a good reason, a horrible reason, or just because you didn't know what you were doing. But knowing why you operate the way you do will align to you, is this always the best method to go along? Think about pandemia, COVID, however you call it in your country, when this came. That shook most companies' operation models, the way you operate. And a lot of people needed to change and adapt and things like that. And surely they managed through it, but I'm pretty sure it caused some stress, confusion, and a lot of implementations. But if you tapped in knowing why you did it in the first place, it's easy to understand, or easier to understand, why I need to change certain things. Why my operation model needs to change, and maybe it's just temporary, or maybe it's for the long haul. You see, asking the why is not a thing that you do once off. It's not something that you do when you start. It's something that you need to check with yourself on a daily basis, so that you can ensure that your alignment fulfills the purpose why you did it in the first place, and that your operations are streamlined to the best possible reality, if you want to put it that way, for your business. So ask yourself, why did you start it in the first place? And always remember that why. Ask yourself, why do you operate the way you do? And know that it should expose, possible changes, red flags and things like that. And your operation should change a lot. And you should ask yourself, why does it need to change? Ask yourself, why the products or the services that you sell? Why did you choose that in the first place? Was it because you believed in something? Was it because it was just highly profitable? Was it because of you are catering a need? Was it because you are supporting local? Was it because that you firmly believe that that was the need in the market? Because asking why the products and the services the whole time should align you, or align your thoughts and everything with, are you still selling the right products and services, and for the right reasons? The reasons why you got into this business, or got into this opportunity, or got into this job. Ask yourself why the products and services, and evaluate that reason, and evaluate it, keep on evaluating it, so that you know that when you are doing it and it doesn't correspond with the original why, then ask yourself once again, why not? And is it worth it? Is this what I want to do with my business? Then you need to ask yourself, why the pricing? Because, originally, I'm pretty sure you did your pricing research, and maybe you did a supply and demand scale and a economical factor, or, you're just there to compete with competitor prices. But ask yourself, why do you have got the pricing model that you do have? And is that still the best? Is there something new that needs to be, changed? Do I need to focus more about FMCG, or do I need to uplift my quality and then, higher my prices because it's more time consuming? But understanding why you ask the prices that you do, because if your answer is simply, I take cost plus 10% and things like that, that's fine. But why do you do it like that? What is the main purpose and the main reason behind it? Then you need to ask yourself, why the marketing? Why the marketing campaign? Why do I market or advertise or present my product to the consumer, or present my product to the market the way I do? You see, understanding why you do that, and when things like COVID hits, or you go from, store to e-commerce or anything like that, you should know why you did it in the first place, because that why will expose you on how you should do it next to keep on innovating, and then ask yourself again, why did you decide to do this? And now, at this point, I need to say to you, the why is not there to doubt yourself the whole time. No. It's to understand the purpose, why you decided how to do it, and is this still the best method for sustainability, for innovation, for the purpose, for my brand nicheness. And we'll speak about nicheness, well, literally on the next point. But you need to understand why you do certain things, not just how to do it. I know how to post adverts on Facebook. I've done it a couple of times. I know why, or how I do it. But the reason is, do I know why I do it that way? Is it simply because just someone told me this is the best method, or I think social media is the best, and most probably that's the accurate choice, but why do I do it? And then you can just break it down further. Why do I present it to the current market that I do? Is this my customers? Is this the best way? Then comes a very, very cool thing is you need to understand why the nicheness. And that sounds a bit weird and corny in a sense, but surely you offer a product and a service because there's a certain nicheness in the market of it, or you consider it to be niche, or your approach with the product, or the marketing of the product, or the presentation or representation of the product is something you consider niche. Now, every business needs to have a nicheness factor to it. So if you offer the same products as other people, your marketing campaign should be different, your delivery should be different, your turnaround time, or your profitability scale, or your business, how you promote rather local businesses and things like that. There needs to be some form of nicheness. So it's very important to understand that you have a nicheness. If you don't understand how that nicheness works, maybe start with that, and then you need to understand, why do you consider this to be niche? And why am I saying this? It's a lot of whys going around. Understanding why you consider something to be niche puts you in the upper hand to see when something is about to not be niche anymore, to lose that nicheness. For example, Uber started with their nicheness was to be, the company that has drivers all over the world, without them owning that, and they work through the apps and their platform and everything like that. And their nicheness was they were the first one to market on that scale. That was their nicheness. But think about it today. In your country, there are a couple of other companies that does exactly the same model. Maybe even competing with prices, maybe even supporting more local. It doesn't matter. That surely is not their nicheness anymore. Their nicheness is now shifted from being that to either being the first of that, or that's why they started Uber Eats and other companies, because they saw that their nicheness is breaking down. And if you don't own a nicheness anymore, competitors can swoosh you overnight without you realizing it. So you need to understand what is your nicheness, how it is your nicheness, but then you need to understand why you consider it to be your nicheness, so that you can stay on top of it in knowing, oh my goodness, do I need to change this to keep on being niche? Because I can't keep my business model the same everywhere or all the time. I can't keep my nicheness the same, because if I think that, then I'm going to lack innovation, and then I'm just going to be an overnight sensation 3, 4, 5 years along the line, especially in today's technological world. That nicheness is going to be gone, and someone else would have not just taken it, they would have taken that and created a new nicheness or a new campaign and consider that to be their nicheness. Now, think about any company that you can think about. MySpace was niche in the beginning, but they never asked themselves, why do they consider their nicheness? Because if they did, they would have saw something like Facebook coming, or adapted, or changed, or innovated, and they never did. Facebook came overnight, in a sense overnight, and destroyed them without having nearly as close as the product that they have today. So nicheness is important to have, but you need to understand, why do you consider it your nicheness, and what do you do about it? Like if it needs to change. Why the fishing concept, sounds a cliche. It sounds very basic. It sounds very, oh, Dion, what are you trying to say? Like, this is business 101. But the thing is, we don't ask the why. We so focus on how to operate and how we do our things that if we don't ever put it in retrospect, we don't step back and say, wait a minute, why are we doing it the way we do? So we don't expose possible red flags, we don't expose possible new opportunities, and we don't expose anything innovative to ourselves because we're just so focused in getting trapped on the how we do things and not only on the why we do things. It's important that the why is not the only thing. You still need to teach the man how to fish before you can teach him why you fish. Or you can teach him why you fish, but if you don't teach him how to fish, it will just be an idea, a dream, and nothing, significant. So those two really goes hand in hand. And the one should always be in front of the other in a circular motion and continuing. Otherwise, you might risk getting into that trap or that bubble and just doing what you do and not understanding why you do it. And I'm talking about not the bigger picture. I'm talking about every single small aspect that you can break your company into. Why your finance model, why your profitability model, why your team, why the people, why everything. And it's not to doubt, it's simply to reflect on a bigger picture in knowing that I know why, and this is how I can now act upon it. Why the customers? Have you ever asked yourself why the customers? Because asking yourself why you target certain customers or why you have certain customers should give you an analytical trend. And you'll be surprised to see that the customers that you promote or market or engage with might be good for your company, but there's a whole pool or whole industry out there that you've never even thought about, the probability or possibility of targeting. There's a whole industry that you might have skipped up because you never asked the question, why do I have my customers and how do they look like and how do I promote them? And then once again, why do I do it that way? Asking the why gives you three things. It exposes the passion. Why I did it in the first place gives you the passion because you started a company having a passion for it. So it exposes that passion and it keeps that passion alive. Understanding why you fish makes it sustainable, but not only for yourself, because the how you fish makes it sustainable for yourself, but the why you fish makes it sustainable for others, for the company, for your children, for your generation, for your investors. It gives sustainability in the company because you're always exposed to innovation. And you're always in the upper hand to take on that risk, take on that motivation, just knowing what needs to happen next. Because you've asked the question, why? Because something might be perfect the way you did it in the first place. And then we look at the older generations and they keep on stuck on that because they're so used on, the how works and that's why I'm continuing on it. And then you ask, okay, why you do it? Oh, I did it like this because back in the day, my father told me this is the way I should do it. Okay, great. So did you see that recently you got 300,000 competitors in the market? Your store has, decreased in size. You never went e-commerce because you never asked yourself why. Have you noticed that your employees work way more on under stress and fire because you never asked them, why I do the model and why I chose these people and why we never asked the why. And not asking the why really exposes your sustainability. It puts that under pressure. The passion might be there from your side still because you might be someone that's simply just money orientated, which is fine, but the sustainability is at risk. And the passion needs to go past just yourself. It's for the generations to come. So asking the why, first of all, passion, sustainability, and then thirdly, it gives you confidence. Now, why am I saying it gives you confidence? Because knowing why you do things and you decided to stay on that track or change that track, because there's nothing wrong about changing the methods after the why, expose the problems, red flags, and greater opportunities and faster methods or more affordable or whatever. It will expose something that gives you the confidence in knowing that how you operate surely is the best way to operate. You see, that is what the why exposes. The why exposes exactly the confidence in the how you do things. And that's surely something that should excite you. It is like I said, it's a very basic thing, but you need to ask yourself, when was the last time that you asked yourself why? Why you do things the way you do it? And you can break it down in your personal life, in your finances, in your marriages, in relationships, and everything. But, in business, this is such a small yet such a significant thing that we don't do. We say to ourselves we do it because if someone needed to ask me, why do I do the business? I can answer them. Why do I do the podcast? I can answer them. But if I break it down, there's certain aspects that my reason will be just, that's the way I started and I found it to be best. Yes. But is it still today the best? It might still be working, but it might not still be the best. It might not be the most innovative. It might not be the best solution, the fastest, the most profitable. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Just because it's working and hasn't failed doesn't mean there's no room for improvement. And only asking why will expose that. So I truly hope today that my why didn't confuse you or annoy you or irritate you, but hopefully that, it opened up that door that David opened up with me when he planted that seed without me knowing it. As I said, I just thought maybe exactly the same as you feel today. As I went back and I thought, oh my goodness, that was a cool, topic, but it's not relevant to me. It's not something that I'm going to take on. And then the next moment when I needed to prep, a training model for a very large company in their sales, I thought to myself, Dion, did you ask yourself why? And then second of all, are you teaching these people why? And I tell you what, it's not a coincidence that after I delivered that training, especially focusing more on the why and how it connects to with the how, I think that sales model exceeded 600 or 700% above targets. And I'm not saying that is the reason, but I'm pretty confident that surely assisted in that. And you see, when people really are in that position, that unique position that they can constantly reflect back on things, which is exposed by asking their why, it boosts their confidence, their sustainability, and their passion on how they do things. And that's what I want for your business today. That's what I want for you, to see your how being the best. And you don't need always experts to come and tell you what's wrong. You are that business owner that can step back and say, oh, well, I can just really pen it down. I can run the data, I can run the analytics, because I can ask the why in every single facet and aspect and asset of my business. Till next week, thank you for tuning in Not Yet Mature. Have a good one. Bye.